Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a feeling that, let's be honest, a lot of us know way too well. You're hardworking, you're capable, but you still feel like you've completely hit a wall in your career. You know, this question, which comes straight from our source material, just cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? It's that deep, nagging anxiety of feeling stuck no matter how hard you work. And it often feels like this crazy paradox, this catch-22. When you're young, every company wants experience, but then once you finally get that experience, suddenly all they want is youth. So how on earth do you break out of a loop like that? Well, let's get into it.
To really find a way out, we need a totally new way of thinking. So, we're going to walk through this step by step. We'll start by looking at the dilemma so many hardworking people face. Then, we'll expose a really common but flawed way we think about our own value. After that, we'll talk about how to completely reconstruct it, find the right balance in our skills, and finally, start thinking like an investor, in ourselves.
All right, so let's kick things off with the first piece of this puzzle, the diligence dilemma. This is all about the core mindset that can trap even the most dedicated among us. You see, a lot of us, probably most of us, operate on this kind of logic without even realizing it. We think, hey, I invested all this time, all this money on my degree, all these long hours, so my value must be high. We're thinking in terms of our costs. But here's the problem. What happens when the market just doesn't agree with how we value ourselves? Well, that's the trap, and that's what we're going to break down next. And this is a really crucial and sometimes kind of tough truth to swallow. An employer or a client, they aren't paying you for your blood, sweat, and tears. They're paying you for a solution to a problem they have. So this logic chain, it feels so right from our perspective, doesn't it? I spent a lot, so I'm worth a lot, so you have to pay me a lot. But in what we call a buyer's market, where there are more people like you than there are jobs, that logic just completely falls apart. The buyer holds all the cards. Okay, the source material uses this brilliant and, yes, slightly disgusting analogy. Imagine you tried to start a cat food business. It failed, and now you have tons of leftover cat food. You can't just stuff it into a steam bun and expect people to pay for it. Your cost for the cat food is totally irrelevant to what the customer actually wants to eat.
So, if we can't sell our past costs, what can we sell? This is where everything changes. We have to completely reconstruct our value from the ground up, looking through a different lens.
This slide refers to this really cool story from Chinese history. There was this amazing strategist, Zhu Gilong, and he wanted a job with a warlord, Liu Bei. Now, he didn't just walk in and list his past accomplishments, recite his resume. Instead, he presented the Longzong Plan, a whole strategic vision for how Liu Bei could win. He wasn't selling his past, he was selling a solution to Liu Bei's biggest, most pressing problem. And that's the mindset shift. And that brings us to the absolute core concept here. Demand-based value. It means you have to stop looking backward at your resume and start looking forward at the buyer's needs. Your real value isn't your list of experiences, it's the specific urgent problem you can solve for someone right here, right now. And this timeline from the author's own life just illustrates it perfectly. Look at this. It's not a neat linear career ladder, it's a series of pivots. Each step was about solving the next big, valuable problem he could find. His career was literally a series of responses to market demand. So real success isn't just about one thing. It's kind of like a three-legged stool. You need capability. You've got to be good at something. But that's useless without demand from the market. And finally, to really make a huge impact, you need leverage. A way to scale what you do, whether that's being an employee, a founder, or an investor. Okay, now we get to a really crucial balancing act. We're all told, strive for excellence, be the best. But what our source material argues is that focusing only on excellence can actually be a really dangerous path. This is such a powerful idea. When you pour all your energy into becoming hyper-specialized, into being excellent at one very narrow thing, you often lose your ability to adapt when the world changes around you. It makes you fragile. And think about this paradox, right? You'd assume that the more education you get, a master's, a PhD, the more doors open. But often, it's the opposite. Your path can get narrower and narrower because you become so specialized that only a tiny handful of jobs are the right fit. Here's a great way to think about it.
Are you like a high-precision, super advanced German weapon that's amazing, but completely useless if one tiny specialized part breaks? Or are you more like a rugged, crude Soviet weapon that can be fixed with a hammer and spare parts and get right back in the fight?
I mean, look at the dinosaurs. They were the peak of excellence, perfectly optimized for their environment. But when that environment changed, bam! It was the small, adaptable, generalist mice who survived. In the long game of careers, it's usually better to be the mouse.
So, what's the big takeaway here? How do we put all of this into practice? Well, it all comes down to adopting a new mindset. The mindset of an investor who is managing their single most important asset, themselves.
This is really the bottom line. You have to stop thinking of yourself as just an employee, as just a cog in a machine. You are the CEO and the primary investor in you, Incorporated. And your job is to manage that investment for long-term growth and, crucially, survival.
Just like a financial investor, you have to balance your portfolio. Think of your deep excellence in a specific skill as your high-risk, high-reward stock. It can bring in big returns right now. But your broad adaptability, your general skills, that's your stable cash flow. That's what ensures you survive when the market crashes.
And the key is that balance, because going all in on either strategy is a recipe for disaster. If you're only adaptable, you're a jack of all trades, master of none, who never gets paid well. But if you're only excellent, you risk becoming the world's foremost expert in something nobody needs anymore.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question to really think about. Look at what you're doing right now, today. Is your effort making you more excellent at what you already do, or is it investing in your ability to adapt to whatever comes next? The answer to that, well, that might just be your way out.